T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Trap Talk Reptile Network, the coolest reptile network in the world, episode 523. Joey Mullen, the king of DIY. Something different tonight, and I'm very excited. I'm not gonna lie, man, but what's good? I'm your boy, MJ. If you're into keeping reptiles, either the breeding side, the pet keeping side, aquatics, animals in general, this is the podcast to be subscribed to. So smash that like button. Why don't we get the likes up immediately, first and foremost? And if you are what I just said that this channel is all about, then hit that subscribe button. You're not going to do yourself wrong by hitting that subscribe button. Trust me. And if you hit that notification bell, you'll actually be reminded of every podcast dropped out of the network 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. You're going to find a podcast out of the Trap Talk Reptile Network. You can also listen to all the episodes out of the Trap Talk Reptile Network on all major audio platforms. There's Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. So wherever you listen to Trap Talk Reptile Network, thank you so much. Please drop a comment in the comment section. I like hearing all the feedback that I could get. Really means a lot. So thank you to all the support out there, all the feedback that a lot of you guys give me throughout the years. Really means a lot. Now, if you're looking for exclusive content, if you want to get more out of what you see out of each episode, or if you just want to simply support what I have going on, then do me a favor. Click that first link in description below and join the Trap Talk Patreon family. As soon as you join the Patreon family, you get a link to a Discord tapped with over 200 amazing reptile keepers. Awesome group, Instagram group chat that's cracking. So come join us. Shout out to my Patreon members. You guys are my heart, man. And shout out to the early birds. I'm very excited again, like I said, for tonight's episode for so many different reasons. And I know a lot of you out there who have hit me up throughout the day, throughout the week, have been excited too, because this guy Joey he's a real deal. In the YouTube world, this guy is a real deal Holyfield, and not to mention the aquatics world. So this is going to be epic, man. I know a lot of you guys are excited. So shout out to homie Kenneth Jordan, my dog, City Limit Exotics. Go give him a follow right now on Instagram. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. About to hang out with him soon at Daytona. It's going to be a time. There'll be Travis Gordon, TNS Reptiles, Trap Talk Patreon member. Thank you so much for being here, Travis. There'll be Manfredi, Ryan Manfredi, Morph Valley Reptiles in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Celtic Reptiles in the building. What's good, Celtic Reptile? Thanks for being here. PJ's Creations in the building. There'll be Eric, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Big Mike, 1776 Exotics, another player I'm looking forward to hanging out with at Daytona here soon. South Florida, here I come. It's come very short. Very around the corner as far as that trip comes. I can't wait. So shout out to homie Big Mike, OG Trap Talk Patreon member, my homegirl Krista, the host of Sunday Nights Girls Who Love Reptiles podcast. Something you don't want to miss, something up and coming. I'm telling you right now, her last 2 episodes, fire. All right, go give her a follow right now on Instagram as well, Neurophi Exotics. And if you also hit that notification bell, like I said, you will be reminded whenever she drops her podcast every Sunday, 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Don't forget that. Lily, my homegirl, my sis. Thank you for being here. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Matt B in the building. What's up, Matt? Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Big E, Top G, Villarito Reptiles in the building. What is up, Big E? Monday nights, co-host, new breed on the block. Do not sleep on the B Unit family. Thank you so much, Big E, for being here. And enjoy your movie. The homie Tony, Revision Reptiles in the building. One of the U.S. ARC right-hand man. I appreciate you so much, Tony, for everything you do. Thanks for being here. JD in the building. What's up, JD? The homie John, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Chantel in the building, Pacific Rim Serpents, my homegirl, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Ritish, I like that name. Ritish, I hope they said that right. Either way, thanks for tapping in when in style. But man, thank you so much for everyone who's here tonight. If you think tonight's episode is worth of any super chat, you got a topic, or you just want to show some love, drop a super chat. Don't be shy. Shout out to anyone out there who's supporting US ARC. If you don't know what US ARC is, I put the link in the description below for you to click on it and read all about US ARC. It's about our animal rights. Phil Goss, thank you for everything you do, and any US ARC team member. I appreciate all the love and support for anyone out there who shows it to US ARC. And please become a US ARC member today. Never know when these legislations are going to hit your back door, man. And shout out to a family who's up and coming in the ball python game, Conduit, Constrictors. Steve and his son Steven are doing big things in the ball python game. So if you go give a follow on Instagram, you can see a lot of the combos that they're hatching out in the ball python world. Wookiee combos, like double recessive type stuff, triple recessive type stuff. No joke coming from this family. So go give them a follow, send them a message. Conduit Constrictors, okay? Big up-and-comers in the ball python game. Thanks so much for your love and support. One of tonight's sponsors. Also, tonight's sponsor is going to be the big dog himself, for sure, Gary Shavino from GS Reptiles. Head over to GS Reptiles on YouTube. Subscribe to this man's YouTube channel, and you will not go wrong, okay? Best in the arboreal game for sure, and I appreciate all the support that this guy has given the reptile world. So much knowledge out there that he's put out. So go check him out on YouTube, GS Reptiles, and also on Instagram. All right. Also, tonight's episode is brought to you by Focus Cube Habitats, #1 PVC design enclosures in the game. Everything you see behind me is 3x2x2, designed by Stephen and Ashley over at Focus Cube Habitats. Flexing Texas all day, every day. Thank you so much, Stephen and Ashley. Appreciate all the support. Going on 4 years now, over 4 years. Very blessed. I'm not gonna lie, man. And also tonight's sponsor is the Chipper, #1 COCO substrate in the game. If you go to COCO.com, whatever your order is, if you type in TrapFam24 in the promo code, you will get 24% off the entire order. All right, so shout out to the Chipper, and that's COCO.com, promo code TrapFam24. All right, shout out to all the sponsors. You can find all the information, all the links, websites, all that to my sponsors in the description below. So go check them out. Let them know that the Trap sent you, and they'll take extra good care of you. And it is that time, guys. I'm very excited. Okay, I can't tell you how I'm excited for tonight because mainly, you know, I came up across this. Mind you, I wasn't too big into YouTube other than watching Kimbo Slice fights. That's like only reason why I was even going to YouTube was watching street fights back in the day, like earlier, like 2011 and stuff. But wasn't really too big on YouTube until I came into the snake world. And that was probably a good 2017. No, I'll take that. 2016, I was really looking at YouTube content, I think, right? But obviously, I was starting to figure out what YouTube was and the whole world was probably like later on, like 2018 or 2017. But then I realized there was people who've been doing YouTube, people who've made a name in the YouTube world for years, right? And mind you, YouTube was just a platform for people to put videos out, and now it's turned into a whole, like, it's television nowadays. Think about it. You know what I mean? Like, YouTube is nowadays television. I haven't had cable, like, you know, what you pay fucking cable. I don't know how many years now I've had cable. Everything I do is off apps or off YouTube. So anyways, I know this guy, Joey, via Brian Barczyk. Only reason why I even knew who the hell this guy was is because of Brian Barczyk. Rest in peace, our good friend. I really miss you, Brian. I've been seeing clips of him lately, and it's like really fucking hits me, man. But I really miss that guy. I really do. So another reason why I'm excited to have Joey on, because Joey had relationships with Barczyk, obviously. And then after that, I realized, you know, I don't know if you guys, anyone who knows me personally knows I love fish. Like, I really love aquatics. I mean, I even did deep sea fishing for a while as a kid. And so I love the fish world. You know, I just never really been tapped into it. Always wanted a reason to kind of know someone in it. And I feel like another reason why I'm so excited for tonight is because I have the guy in the fucking aquatics game. Like, the one who literally put the aquatic content on the map for YouTube. Like, YouTube wasn't too keen. Like, the aquatics content at some point with YouTube was so down, nobody really gave a fuck. And then this guy came along, put out a video that trended #1 on YouTube, and it just took things off. You know what I mean? So I know so many of you guys have been subscribed to this man's channel for years because you guys are all telling me how far back. Like, a lot of you guys, this was the first channel you guys ever subscribed to, from what I'm hearing. So this is great. This is gonna be awesome. And I don't know about you guys, I'm ready to bring the fucking homie Joey on. So let's do this. Hope you guys are excited in the chats because like I said, this is gonna be different. This is gonna be epic. It's the king of DIY. Joey Mullen's coming at you right now, episode 523. Let's go. Choo!
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, God love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it.
Episode 523. Joey, King of DIY, finally in the building.
What's good, MJ? And you trappers. I was watching you guys all call each other trappers. I was like, man, I need a good name like that. But if you want to do some trap talk, I got you.
Dude, I'm so excited tonight, man. Listen, I know we don't know each other too well, but I got family in the East Coast. I've always been keen about like certain styles of the East Coast. And I just get this vibe from you, bro, where like you're everything that I fucking love out of an East Coast motherfucker, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no jokes, straight to the fucking point. And ever since I followed your content and seen what you do, like your energy, straight raw, bro. I love it. So I'm a huge fan of all your work. I just want to say.
I think that straight raw stuff comes from like I've been on the internet for 16 years and I don't want to be a robot anymore. Hi everybody, Joey here again and welcome back. And I know those were phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal videos and they were epic and great, but dude, it's so hard to trap yourself into a little bubble.
Yeah, and be something you're not, right? Like because you're almost kind of trying to play PG or G, like you're trying to be like family friendly. Is that why you were being like that, or what let's talk about
I was just taking myself a little too seriously. I didn't start to become a YouTuber because being a YouTuber back then meant nothing.
Zero. Yeah. Zero.
You couldn't make money or anything like that. I was just trying to, so I come from the organized side of the hobby. I know that you probably have clubs and that sort of thing.
What do you mean by clubs?
Snake clubs or reptile clubs?
I mean, there's communities and stuff like that.
Man, you got to get organized. You got to have like little gangs in all the cities.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But I mean, we kind of have that, but within like the green tree pythons, each species has its own little like, I guess a club, but it's not known as a club, but it feels like a club, I guess.
We have aquarium clubs. Most of them are nonprofit and they're organized. They have
I like that.
Bylaws, president, vice president, board of directors, etc. And that's the world that I started in. Forums and posting and uploading pictures and sharing things, club meetings, auctions, speakers, that sort of thing. I still promote it to this day. I mean, last year I went on a circuit and I traveled everywhere for free to help aquarium clubs grow because without them and your local fish stores and stuff, it's cool. The internet's awesome. Got a ton of educators online. And there's a tremendous amount of places that you could save money online by shopping through them. But it's the mom and pop shops and your local aquarium clubs that got you into the hobby. And is really, the anchor of everything. And without them, they're like, hopefully maybe they'll stumble across a video and find that online store. I'm not even against online stores or internet creators. Shoot, I am one. But that's where I started. And when I discovered the internet in 2000, I didn't discover it. I discovered the power of it in around 2008. I was like, oh, this is the next move. Everybody was laughing at me, making fun of me. They didn't believe in it. I was like, you don't understand what's about to happen. You're focused on your little area. But what if we created like worldwide clubs? Because we can reach so many more people. Now, mind you, I got into my club as a member, then board of directors, became vice president, and finally president. And it was probably my biggest accomplishment of all time. And one of the biggest things I was ever proud of. I dedicated 5 years to what was honestly the most thankless job I've ever done. But I took my club from being relatively unknown to the #1 aquarium club by paid members in all of Canada.
Wow.
Canada's pretty big. I know a lot of people make fun of us, but it's pretty big. And we got a tremendous amount of really legitimate clubs. But after my tenure, I went to YouTube and I started just uploading videos, not on purpose. It was because at one point I don't know how long you've been in your hobby, but at one point you'd be on forums and you're trying to share something and you're uploading the images and it's too big. So you got to use photo bucket or tiny pic as a photo host, and then you type everything out, and then you hit submit. Everything times out, and you lost everything that you just typed up. Used to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
So then when YouTube came along, it was around for about a couple of years. All I seen it as a video host, so I was like, this would be a lot easier if I just filmed this and shared the video. Some of those videos popped off, and that's kind of when I realized the power of the internet. because people from all over the planet were commenting.
Yeah.
And, you know, it kind of just spiraled from there. There was no money. There was nothing like that. There were other channels out there. And you mentioned Brian Barczyk. He was using it as a way to educate, but as like promote his ball python business as well.
Right.
Because he was a genius early on. I don't think anybody, dude, I got stories that you guys don't, you know nothing about it. And I'm a fish person, but I've known Brian for like 15 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Like through phone calls, messages. I've slept at his house. We've made 12 videos together.
It's awesome.
You know, so, you know, maybe we can get into something like that later on, but
right. Definitely.
You got to cut me off at some point because I get into these tangents and I'll ramble and I'll go and I don't even know what the original comment was.
I'm so intrigued by the club thing, you know, because, you know, I know there's like, you know, there's herpetological like gatherings locally in San Diego, but I have no a part of. And I think now that you're saying this, I feel like I should be a part of this stuff.
Oh, at least man, you got to, because
I'm interested. Like it's like a light bulb's going off in my head right now. You talking like this.
I used to have a talk about how I became king of DIY. And, you know, obviously my origin stories was with aquarium clubs, and there would be so many people there and the clubs would be so excited. They're like, we usually get like 30 people, not 500. Yeah. And I was like, well, that's the point of me doing this, is because I'm using me. Right. I know that I can draw people in, but I used to like look around the crowd and it's like, it's fascinating to me because there's probably somebody here that will be the next, you know, king of DIY or somebody influential. And you just have to have that passion and believe in yourself and keep your heart in the right place at all times. And really great things can come from that.
Yeah. And going back to you starting things off, building a name wise via these clubs, right? So I'm assuming your name was known via clubs before YouTube, and then you started doing YouTube after the club scene?
No, man, I was a nobody. I was known at my local club locally, and that was it.
Okay, got it.
Once I got big on YouTube, that's when other clubs, events, and more people started to recognize me. I'm not known for being a speaker, even though I would consider myself a prolific keynote speaker. I've done over 100 clubs and events in speaking, but at the time, nobody knew who I was. I literally came from nothing and just utilized grew within my local club, believed in myself and what was happening there. Because, well, I'll give you the honest truth. I was in the hobby for about 2 years. I think I was 19 when I got in, and then right around 21, my daughter was born, and then my son was born, and I couldn't afford the hobby anymore. Couldn't afford the power bill, ongoing food costs, like nothing. I was a struggling young father of 2 little kids and the sole provider to my family. And wow. I went to my local fish store, and I was like, hey, do you guys want to buy my fish tanks? And they're like, we don't do that. Maybe you could throw it on Kijiji, which is like Craigslist for Canada. Right. I was like, I don't have a computer.
Damn.
And they're like, well, you could also go to this aquarium club that's local, and they have buy and sell and trade. I was like, oh, no way. I used to hate going to my mother-in-law's house, but she had a computer. So I went over, I list all my stuff on Kijiji and this aquarium club. I registered, and then, you know, a week passed. I started going back and forth with people, and that's when I realized, for the first time, this was like my first interaction with other fish people. I was like, oh, damn. There's other people out there locally just like me.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can like make things a little bit more affordable. Let me stick around a little bit more. A year passed, and I decided I'm going to help out with the club, got on the board of directors. Another year passed, more passion built. I became the vice president. Another year passed, and I'm dedicating everything that I am to this club, all my spare time, and I became president. And that's where I knew what my purpose was. Because purpose to a human being, or especially to a man, is so important. Now, mind you, I'm raising my children. I got to be a father. So obviously that's, you know, my core purpose, but we need a little bit more depth to our lives at times. And this was the first time nobody cared who I was, where I came from, how much money I had, what color I was, what religion I followed, any of that. They just want to see fish tanks and how can you help us all become better at this. So for me, that's kind of where, even with YouTube, how do you keep making videos for 16 years? Whereas the first 7, I didn't make a penny. It was driven by raw passion. I didn't have products. I wasn't selling fish. I didn't do anything. I've since authored books and I do a bunch of stuff now, but at the time I didn't. It was simply driven by raw passion. And that's what your local clubs will give you back. You'll get face-to-face with people. You'll develop friendships, and you'll serve a real purpose that has a meaningful and lasting impact. It's almost as if you're ensuring the longevity to your hobby.
Now, I'm curious, Joey, when did things turn the corner with YouTube? Like, when did YouTube become something that was just a grind and a passion to where now your grind and passion is bringing you some income and starting to change your life a bit? Like, when did that happen? And what did you, how did you adjust video wise when that started happening?
6 years ago. So for 10 years, it was basically nothing. And then when I finally got monetized, I think it was like 7 years in, I was working a labor job. I absolutely hated it, but so long as it put money on the table, who was I to criticize that?
Right.
Put food on the table. But I got monetized, and I thought I made it. This is it. I added I added ads to every video I had. I think my first month of monetization. You guess what my first month I made.
And this is what, 2000 what?
About 6-7 years ago, something like that. Yeah.
So 2000. Okay, so about like 20.
No, more than that. A little more than that.
All right.
Yeah, around that. You just guess.
I'm gonna guess your first month, 20K.
My first month, I made 7 cents. That's when I found out that you have to make $100. I was like, shit, well, maybe next month I can make $100 or,
So 7 cents. And how many videos were you putting out that month? Like, were you pumping them out every week, or how many were you putting out?
It wasn't as important to put out videos that often around that time. So maybe like anywhere between 4 to 12 a month, which is more than I do these days. But they were all the same thing. And that's when I kind of, around that time when I got monetized, I'd really have to go through the numbers because it could have been 8 or 9 years ago. But at that time, I was looking at other channels on the internet within my industry. And there was LA Fish Guy who did aquarium installations. There was Dustin's Fish Tanks that yelled about aquarium plants. There was Mr. Saltwater Tank that did Friday morning quick tips. There was New York Stilo that did really in-depth tutorials. But the point I'm getting at is everybody was about something. And I'm over here and I'm looking at my mix mash of videos. It's like, what can I be? What am I going to be about? Because I'm just uploading projects, updates, talking about fish breeding, whatever. I modded a light. But my do-it-yourself videos were the most popular. So I was like, okay, I'll just do it-yourself videos. Shortly after that, because I transitioned to just do-it-yourself videos, which was once a week, because at that time it was taking me 40 to 60 hours to make, or I'm sorry, like more like 20 to 30 hours a week to make one video, sometimes more.
Wow. Because you're recording the whole thing, right? Like you're recording the whole process of you building what you're building.
Oh, you got to build it twice.
Whoa, what do you mean by that?
Well, how do you know it's going to work? How can I have any credibility if I build something and I just pretended it worked and then maybe 100 people do it and it doesn't work for them? So I have to make sure everything works. So I got to build it twice.
Wow.
Once without filming, once to make sure it's working, and then once for the video. But I also have to source all of the materials so that people all over the world can actually get them. It was at around that time when I'm only uploading do-it-yourself videos that like, oh man, you're the best at do-it-yourself. You're the DIY king. You're the king of DIY, the king of DIY, the king of do-it-yourself. I was like, damn, that's way better to remember than Waru Joey, because for the longest time my username was Waru Joey, which is UARU, which is a South American cichlid, a South American fish.
Okay.
And then just Joey. Not searchable. People didn't know what it meant or how to spell it. Certainly wasn't great for the algorithm, but the King of DIY was like standing on something. And that's when I became the King of DIY. My communities shaped everything I've ever done. My name, what I make for videos. They've always, even if they didn't know it, created me.
Now I'm curious because, you know, obviously there had to be a point in time where the 7 cents turned into some fucking real numbers here, right? And was it how long after you like kind of dedicated yourself to these DIY videos? How long until everything started changing financially with YouTube then?
Okay, so the last job I had, I got those numbers the other day, and that's why I know it was 6 years ago. So I was a little confused. And at that point, 6 years ago, I was making $1,500 to maybe $2,000 a month. But at that time, that was more than enough money to cover my bills, kind of, sort of.
Right.
But it was also right around that time where my ex-wife was like, 10 years. And this is what you had to show for it. Floods all over the house, constantly spending the money, always doing this, because I'd wake up and I'd work on my websites and social media. I go to work, I come home, I'd work on it. On the weekends was time to film videos. 10 years. And I got $1,500 a month, which is a nice little boost, but it's still a tremendous amount of work. But I had to put 10 years in. So then I quit my job. And I was like, if I'm going to make this work, I need more time. So I quit my job. And my wife at the time left me. She's like, I'm done. Like that's enough for me.
Oh, shit.
I was talking to Dustin. I mentioned him earlier that does planted tanks. I was telling him the situation I was in 2 days later. And he's like, you got to do something. He's like, write a book, man. It's easy money. It's easy money. Just do it. I was like, what am I going to write a book about? I don't know how to write a book. I don't even have an education. I got a GED. He's like, write about your projects. He's like, your videos, because at that time, YouTube wanted like 2-3 minute videos. He's like, those are the trailers. The book is the movie. Elaborate and get into incredible detail.
Wow.
Teach them how to actually do this. I didn't do much else for 3 weeks. I sat at a table in my living room and I typed and I worked on this book. And within 3 weeks, I wrote a 552-page book. I created it, self-edited, self-published, and then began self-distributing within 3 weeks. So for me, a lot of the times, people will even like look at my channel and criticize me and want this. I sacrificed a lot and I did so much to get to where I'm at. And it's so much easier these days. But that book, and you were talking numbers, that book went on to do over $1 million in sales.
Is this the ultimate DIY handbook?
Yeah.
Damn.
It's one of, if not the #1 top selling book in the aquarium hobby of all time, especially published by one individual. I owe nobody nothing. It's all mine.
That's crazy, bro. And you figured it out.
I had no choice. I had to get my family back.
Oh,
but I also had to find balance. Now, obviously, some people will be like, oh, you lost your family over this? My first car repo was because I wanted to buy a new camera. You know, but I knew that it ain't on Amazon. That ain't me.
That's not you? This is yours? Oh, shit.
Glad I got 5 stars, though. It is a 5-star book. That ain't me. It ain't on Amazon. Amazon was trying to take like 80%. Anyways.
That was your book. It's just not available, though, right?
I've never put it on Amazon a single time. So maybe somebody sold a copy because it was signed or something. Who knows?
Okay. Wow. All right.
So I I had family left, etc. But I always believed in what I was doing, and I knew that if I kept moving forward, and I believed in myself, because there were so many people that also believed in me, that I couldn't go wrong. Luckily, things turned around. Obviously, my family came back, and things started getting progressively better over that year. Things got really good for me, and I started making $2,000 a month, $5,000, $8,000, $10,000. As soon as it hit the $10,000 mark, Joey's got to fuck everything up again. I got a great idea.
What'd you do?
I was like, if I can do this from my basement with 2 aquariums, imagine if I had a building dedicated to all this.
Oh, wow.
So
you expanded.
Yeah, I ripped down my old garage, put in a new foundation, erected a new building. But unfortunately, some people are like, oh, that was so irresponsible. But I was just blinded by the possibilities.
Right. Yeah.
I was around $90,000 in debt. I was going to lose my house. I was going to lose everything. And a video came out maybe 5-6 years ago, something like that. Again, somebody will have to fact check my numbers or whatever in the years, but I had to tell everybody the truth of what was going on. Mind you, yeah, the gallery's been around for 6 years, so this would have been 6 years ago. I had to tell everybody the truth. Maybe it was 5 years ago. So I made this video. It was 25 minutes long, just updating them on everything. But at the very end, there was maybe like 3 minutes. I just said like, hey, I'm in a lot of trouble. I didn't say I was in a lot of trouble. I just said I'm refinancing my house, making sure this is going to happen. Don't worry. Videos might slow down. I'm just I've maxed out all my cards. I'm in financial, stress over that because I don't come from money and I don't got like family to go get money from or whatever.
Yeah. And
all this time they're like, Joey, let us help you. Let us help you. And I'm not an e-bagger. I got too much pride, but it got to the point where I uploaded another video, months later, maybe only a month or two later, where I was like, sorry, I haven't been uploading, but here's some more updates of what I could get done. And then at the very end, I was like, I'm going to take your guys' advice. There's a link in the bio if you want to support me and make this happen. Unfortunately, the number is insurmountable. I was asking them to help me for $90,000.
Wow.
On GoFundMe.
Damn.
I uploaded the video and I thought my career was over. I was embarrassed. I was humiliated. I was like, if this don't work, like I'm screwed. MJ, if I told you within 47 hours, they raised every penny and I had to shut it down. And so many people were still mad. You wouldn't believe me, but it happened.
Holy shit.
Nobody has raised that kind of money in that amount of time for absolutely anything within my industry at any point in history.
Damn.
A lot of them were like, Joey, you've been doing this for years. You're doing it for us. Like, nobody needs this. I'm not a breeder. I don't sell anything. It's just content. It's just to educate and inspire. But yeah, man, it's been a long road on YouTube, and there's been a tremendous amount of inspiring things, and I've got stories for days, but this is your show. So,
well, I'm curious because, you were saying that you started making upwards $10,000 a month, but then that consistently wasn't enough. You're saying?
Oh, no. Oh, whoa. Wait. Yeah, I forgot that part. Remember when PewDiePie made that video where he said something really bad and then like $1 billion worth of sponsors pulled out of YouTube?
I remember
the ad apocalypse. It was called the ad apocalypse.
I remember bits and stories of it. I wasn't really kind of tapped in on that era, but I kind of heard.
It didn't affect many people, but it did affect like the whitelisted channels and channels that were already partnered, which at that time I was. So I'm making like 8-10 grand a month, and then the ad apocalypse happened, and that's where I went from making $8,000-$10,000 a month to the very next month was like $100 or $200.
Wow, just like that.
My channel was wiped, and I was screwed.
What year was this, if you can remember?
early 2017.
Wow, because this PewDiePie guy was like the Mr. Beast back then. Like he was running the show, and then he did something where all the main people supporting YouTube financially said, "Fuck this, we're out."
Pepsi pulled out, like a bunch of, or Coca-Cola. I don't know the brands that specifically pulled out, but yeah, if you look up the PewDiePie ad apocalypse, it affected a lot of channels. It took about 3 to 6 months to recover, but yeah, my channel was severely impacted. And there's been times, and you mentioned the trending page and stuff, but there was also times where I was put on the trending page, and then there was like a blurb, like a little write-up with the video, like almost right under it or something. I don't think they do that anymore, but I never typed that. YouTube did. So in my opinion, YouTube was like hand selecting some of my videos and putting them up there for themselves.
Oh shit.
Like mass promoting it type of thing.
Damn. And so, and there were, when you got that original like downfall in that payment each month, did you like already knew ahead of time what was going on, or was it just like, what the fuck is this? And you had to like look into it.
I could go into my analytics and like show when the drop happened. It would have happened in like December, anywhere from December to February, December 2016 to like February 2017. But it went like December's always the biggest month. And then January, of course, will drop, but it doesn't drop 90% ever.
Right.
You'll see a dip, maybe 80 or like 20% of lost revenue or something. But it was intense. It was incredible. And yeah, I was officially screwed. Of course, I told the story wrong because it happened so long ago. But yeah.
And then when did things turn back around? Like what happened as far as after all that drama?
June, July is when it turned back around for me. When I started actually having fish tanks in the gallery, the 2000 was done. I added the fish into the 2000. That tank went on to be the #1 trending video. That video of me adding 2 fish to that tank trended #1, stayed there for 2 days, and then trended to like another 30 times. Then of course we had that lockdown, and now we've got probably went from like having 1,000 channels on aquariums to probably like 5,000. And then TikTok taught everybody that it's better to have a short attention span. So you'll notice like nobody's really blowing up anymore. The odd channel will, but for the most part, there's not many channels going crazy. You get the views from TikTok and Instagram reels and Facebook reels and that sort of thing, or maybe even shorts here on YouTube, but long form 10-15 minute videos, they just tank usually.
Yeah, it's a way different ball game nowadays, you know, like and I obviously it's kind of expected, right? Like this whole like making people viral so easily was only going to go so long. Yeah. And what's crazy is you can still go viral over the most stupidest fucking thing that you're posting. It's like almost like, holy shit! Like, well, they choose you.
I've had opportunities to make like some really crazy videos, but I always thought integrity was the most important thing for me. You know, you can go back there and do a viral video right now. Oh, my steak bit the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Or watch it attack and kill this frog or something. But you have to be a responsible keeper and have integrity, especially if you want longevity. If you're here for money, go ahead, but you'll probably get taken off of YouTube eventually anyways.
Yeah, you know, and you know, COVID started a lot of things, and one of the things that unfortunately did was make people get into hobbies thinking they can make money right away. You know, like it kind of created.
Some of them did.
I mean, no, some of them did, but then also like they couldn't balance out because, you know, look at people making money now. I mean, everything's hurting on a whole scale. I don't know what it's like in the aquatics world right now as far as selling fish, but definitely, you know, there are some areas in the reptile world that are struggling in a sense, only because of the success that COVID brought with animal sales, you know?
Yeah, we'll recover in due time, but in my opinion, everything always comes back home.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
Stick to your guns, and I believe long form will be king again.
Yeah, totally. And you know, obviously we talked a lot about YouTube, but you know, I'm curious about why fish for you. You know what I mean? Like it seems like something that's been about like your thing for a while now, since you're 19 years old. Let's kind of talk about what inspired you to kind of get into fish at the level that you're at right now. Like even at YouTube aside, just talking about you being a passionate keeper.
Yeah, so I think everybody knows when they're an animal lover.
I would agree.
And some people just aren't. Like I got cats, I got a dog. I don't got any nope ropes, but every time I used to visit Brian, I was like, when I go home, I'm getting one. And I never did. I'd sleep on it. I never was like really into snakes, but I do like a lot of the lizards and whatnot, especially the one on your shirt, which I believe is an Asian water monitor. It's too small to be a Komodo. Or is it a Komodo?
It's a lace monitor, which is the closest relative to the Komodo. So this is they're all from Australia. They're called lace monitors.
Do they get as big? No. Isn't the Asian water monitor the second biggest reptile?
Second biggest, yeah, but they're not. They're as far as relative wise, these lace monitors are closest relative to the Komodo. But as far as size wise, Asian water monitors are the biggest. As far as other than the Komodo, Komodo's king. That's nothing gets bigger than a Komodo for sure.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, go ahead.
So I used to be a incredibly troubled youth. My father left when I was 9.
It's unfortunate.
And I was in a single mother household, and you know, she was a substance abuser. So I got into a tremendous amount of trouble. By the time I believe I was like 18 or just had turned 18, I had already served 3 years in jail. And had a tremendous amount of insecurities, anger, you know, but the only time that I would feel calm was when I go to the mall, because there was a fish store there and I always want to go look. And I go look at the fish, and I know they're just like little fish, but I used to be so fascinated. Like, how the hell are you underwater? How does that work? And they swim a certain way. And it was just an incredible, calming experience. And my ex-wife saw that, and she's like, I got to get this man a fish tank. And that's how that happened.
Yeah, it's crazy how, I mean, shit, dude. I think you're right. I think one of the things that I didn't realize is, because I'm a hyperactive guy for sure. I'm high strung. Definitely had anger issues that I'm still working through at this point. I'm fucking 38 years old, still working on my anger issues. But whenever I'm in my reptile room or even around animals, like I just feel like a sense of peace. Like, you know what I mean? Like whatever I'm on edge about, I'm really not on edge about. You know what I mean?
It's almost like a sense of responsibility. Like, I'm too busy to care about the world right now.
Yeah.
I got these beautiful animals that I got to care for, and they depend on me. And I'm very important right now, because a lot of the times people with a tremendous amount of anger issues sometimes are just not heard, and or feel very small, and or just not heard, because a lot of people have never walked that path of life, so they'll never understand it. But when around animals, it's almost like this is going to sound weird, but I love babies. It's kind of like animals. That's a horrible way to put it, but it's pure innocence. They don't judge you.
Yeah.
They don't. It's
they don't know better to judge. You know what I mean? They're so,
they haven't been infected.
You're right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's kind of like we love dogs. I mean, why I love dogs so much, because, you know, your dog never judges you. You know, if your dog really loves you, that dog don't give a fuck what you just did. It's going to love you no matter what, you know?
Oh, man. Beg to differ. If you ever get a golden retriever, the most hyper and emotional human beings covered in fur you'll ever meet. Luke lets me know when he's sad.
You know, it's crazy because there are certain dogs that are known for certain traits and like personalities. I've never had or owned golden retrievers. It's mainly been pit bulls for me, you know, and pit bulls are just big fucking babies.
I think that's why I've never gotten into snakes, because I always felt like they were mindless.
I mean, God bless. I know this is going to upset a lot of people out there, because there's people out there who feel like you could build bonds and some sort of relationships with their snakes. And I guarantee, fuck, man, I try not to go in on this, but I do know that there are trusts. Like, I mean, a snake could be like okay with you holding it, but that snake gives two fucking shits about you. And these reptiles are better off being left alone. They are not here needing companionship. They're not a fucking dog. They're not a cat. They're not.
I didn't know you can curse so much on here. I'm so comfortable now.
Oh, you're good. Oh, you can probably get something you want. You know, but mind you too, like, who am I to judge if someone feels like that's what makes them happy to be their reptile? Like, listen, you know, I'm just saying, you're not going to convince me that this fucking snake is like coming to the glass excited because you're here right now, unless you got food. You know what I mean?
I just felt like you just look like another responsibility. Like, I got enough on the go. But I think it's a little bit different with the larger lizards.
Way different. Now that's a cold-blooded dog right there. Okay.
Yeah.
I have 2 Bellface lace monitors. They are fucking, dude. Oh my God. They're a lot. Trust me. They need a lot of space. They're messy, but they are so smart. Those are ones that will come to the glass just to interact with you. Whole nother being right there. I'm telling you, lizards and snakes, whole nother level of reptile keeping.
Yeah.
Snakes want to be left alone. Lizards, I feel like when they're in captivity, they're interested. They are curious. They're okay with being let out and, you know, roaming around. And it's a whole other ballgame with the monitors, man. It's amazing to see. You know what I mean? But it's a lot of work. It's a shit ton of work.
Well, one of the animals that I was 2 years ago, almost 3 now, I've lost perception of time. I'm 41 years old, so I don't know if it was 6 months ago or 6 years ago at this point. So I keep running these numbers through my head. But 2 or 3 years ago, I was going to launch a public aquarium. And I was going to have a reptile portion of it, but it wasn't going to be, for example, like what Brian's doing or what like the Reptarium,
right?
And or the new place. It was going to be a gallery of enclosures and aquariums that you can actually do at home.
Okay. So there are ideas to do your own thing at home with what you're showing them examples, basically.
Relatable sized enclosures and fish tanks. And 2 of the animals that I was definitely going to get was the dwarf caiman and the Asian water monitor. However, with the Asian water monitor, I believe I saw it for the first time. I believe it was with New England Reptile. Kevin had like this all black Asian water monitor. I was like, damn, that's a dragon. I was like, I need one of them. However, I had leased this building. I was building it up for about a year or 6 months, something like that. And they put me behind 2 years, violated the lease. I lost $60,000 on that. But if I stayed in, I would have lost $200,000. So I had to back out of that. And maybe at one point launch it again. But the whole point of that was, and the thing that crushed my heart about not being able to do it, was not really the money that I lost, because I always set money aside every year for my next biggest idea. And if I don't got one, I donate it to nonprofits and or charities.
That's cool.
But my biggest surprise for everybody was I was going to open the doors for free. Not every single day, but 3 days a week for around 3 or 4 hours. 20 people at a time per hour. I was going to do personal tours. And for the rest of the week, when it's closed, I was going to bring in troubled youths to help me take care of everything.
That's cool.
But people are like, how are you going to afford this? The videos and the content would have been self-supporting. It would have, I had to make like maybe $8,000 or $9,000 a month just to pay the bills. And then of course, and I felt like, well, the content will pay for it. And if I have to, I'll sell merch.
Right.
Little stuffies or something as they leave.
But did you have some sort of income coming from like the trade side of the pet keeping? Like, were you breeding fish at all? Like, were you making any money keeping fish other than YouTube?
I do. So I've had investments as well, but I only pay myself $40,000 a year. That's what I get paid for being the king of DIY. Okay. Everything else goes to around 30%, depending on how many expenses I had, goes to taxes. And then the remaining money, however much it is, gets split in half. And that half goes to running costs for the year. And then the other half goes to either my next big idea or to charity. But it's got to go somewhere. And I haven't had a big idea for a couple of years. I've got another idea that's happening in a couple of weeks, and I'm sure we'll get to that. But I have my book sales, my appearance sales. I have my sponsors, a tremendous amount of revenue, similar to what you do. And if I could give you any advice, obviously YouTube revenue, you can kind of look at it like the icing on the cake, but a better analogy would be, think of what you're doing right now as a wagon wheel and or at least a tire. And every spoke is a path of revenue. Now imagine, wouldn't the tire be more structurally sound with more spokes?
Yes.
So a lot of people will be like, well, I'm not doing that. It only makes me like $100 or $200 a month. Yeah, but if you got 10 of them.
Yeah, changes everything.
So I've got a lot of spokes. And YouTube revenue is just like one of the spokes, but there's like 30 others.
Yeah, totally.
So I would have just self-funded it easily.
Yeah. So just what you're saying, the YouTube spoke is one of many spokes that matter because the numbers all add up after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, as far as the trade that you're in though with the fish, can you make money at all? Like if you wanted to breed, like what's the breeding side of things like for what you do?
The breeding side of things is incredibly profitable if you set yourself up right. My problem is my demographics. I'm in Atlantic Canada, as far east as you can go. And because of that, it's difficult for me to ship fish to the other side of the country. It would be like I'm living in New York, but the demand is in California, and I can't ship to the States.
Got you. Okay.
So it's not viable long term. I've tried it before. I used to breed discus a long time ago, and I flooded the market to the point where these fish should have been selling for $100 a piece, and I started selling them for like $5 and $10.
Damn.
Within a month, I had made $20,000, but I had 1,000 of these discus, and I should have made like 80,000 minimum.
Shit.
It's just, for me, it just wasn't viable. And I'm not a huge fan of sales anymore. I don't want to wait for people to come over, cancel, come late, stay too long, barter me. But what I found was, because I was selling them so cheap, I just wanted to like put quality, locally raised discus into local hobbyist hands. And some people were coming by and buying like 8 and 10 at a time. Some people were buying more, but they were taking them to fish stores or putting them on Kijiji, which is like Craigslist, to like double and triple their money.
Flipping them. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So put a bad taste in my mouth, and I didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. I mean, that's kind of what people do here in the hobby still. I mean, there's a bunch of people who buy shit and flip it. I mean, you don't want to be known to do that because you'll definitely get frowned upon. But I mean, it's something that they still do no matter what. But I feel you on that. I feel like there's some things about having to find a customer for an animal I produce that I like. Some of it's great, but then some things I don't like, and some things do kind of get old after a while, and it's something I have to put up with because it sells. If you want to be good at sales, there's shit you have to put up with.
Yeah.
And I, in a perfect world, would rather not have to worry about selling an animal and just keep what I have. But that right there would be damn near impossible. I mean, that's one of my spokes, I guess, like what we're saying, right? Regardless of where the market's at, I still make money off snakes. I still sell shit that people want for what I produce. But
you breed?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What do you breed?
So I breed ball pythons is what really started everything for me. Like that was kind of like my first wave of income came from breeding ball pythons during COVID. That's like when I started doing my first clutches and whatnot. And that's kind of carried on to this point. But now I'm at the point where a lot of the stuff that I'm obsessed about, like the green tree pythons, the emerald tree boas, like I'm starting to breed all that stuff now.
Emerald tree boas.
Yeah, I just got kicked in the balls recently pretty hard with the litter right now. I waited 6 months for this female to have a slug stuck in her that I had to like basically assist get her out. I had to get this slug out, and right behind it were 2 dead full-term babies. Like they were fully developed, but they didn't make it because of this fucking slug. But anyway,
emerald tree boa, and if I can remember, is a green snake, maybe like white speckled, but really big.
Yeah, so there's basins and there's northerns. Yeah, so I don't know if you could see one behind me. She's right there.
What do you have? Do you have the green one with like maybe white speckles? I can't remember exactly what they look like.
So
but they're very cool, but they get very big. There can't be a massive demand for them, is there?
Oh, they're very wanted right now in the hobby for sure. So this is called a basin right here.
Is that an adult?
No. This is a probably a 2020. So she's probably like 3 years old. I don't know if you could see it. Hold on.
Oh, I imagine them bigger. Boa constrictor.
Well, she's a female. She's not. I'll show you. You want to see a big girl? I'll show you a big girl.
I feel like that couldn't even cut the circulation off to my finger.
No, but anyways, I don't know what we're talking about. What are we talking about right now? I'm so sorry. I got distracted.
How big the emerald tree boa gets.
So you want to see an adult? Hopefully. So this is what you're talking about here.
Damn. So they just do that all day?
Basically.
You really got to like snakes to do those guys, eh?
You see it?
Yeah, he looks like he'd bite me.
No, this is actually pretty. I mean, they are known to be bitey, but they're not.
He's pretty though.
Once they get this
Look at the lightning.
they're pretty chill. But yeah,
Is that like a fancy one or that's normal?
This is a northern emerald tree boa. Consider not the fancy one. The fancy one's one of the ones I just pulled out. They're the ones that have a lot more white going on them. But this is the northern, which I feel like is definitely still popular in the hobby for sure.
What would something like that one go for versus the other one?
Well, this one right here would probably go for about 3,000.
A baby?
No, right now as an adult, I would say probably as a baby, like probably half that, like 1,500 to 1,800 as a baby. And then the Amazon basin that I just showed you, those are like 6,000 to 7,000. That's a whole other level right there. But yeah, this is an adult. I think this is the size you're kind of referring
I was like, dude, I'll give you like $100 right now. I don't know how much those things go for.
Oh yeah.
Well, Brian showed me some really expensive high-end stuff, but none of it made sense to me.
100 would even cover the shipping.
That's wild.
Yep.
I was expecting them to be bigger.
This is a big girl, bro. You know, it's kind of hard to see it in video, obviously, but when you have an adult emerald tree boa in front of you, it's another level. But yeah, anyway, so what are some of the fish you keep? Like, what are the ones that are like you're really passionate about? Because I know there's saltwater, there's freshwater. I don't know if you're just all freshwater, if you do some saltwater.
I do salt. I do a little both. So my main focus for many years has always been Asian arowana, which you guys can't have in the United States, but freshwater stingrays as well. However, behind me is a 700-gallon piranha aquarium with 30 red belly piranha, fully planted, all natural. Wow. And it's
that looks sick.
It's incredible to kind of like watch it in person. The 2000 is I have electric eels, 1, not 2, pufferfish, all kinds of fun things. I've done octopus, seahorses, darn near everything you could think of that's legal, outside of any sort of reptiles that we can't have. Turtles, for example, in Nova Scotia.
No turtles at all?
You cannot own them.
Wow.
We do have some pretty cool snakes and whatnot, but you also can't own those. Everything's like highly regulated. And the downside to that, and the problem with that, and you were mentioning USARC, but they're battling problems that politicians that don't know what they're talking about created.
Yeah, exactly.
At all.
That's what
It's just so mind-boggling. And I was like, well, who's consulting them? Because somebody has to consult them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why, Phil's so good at what he does, is because he's there to fucking kind of make sure these people understand what the hell they're talking about. But most of the times they don't. And it's unfortunate that, especially Florida. I think the biggest state out of the entire country here in the United States is Florida, that has people in control of certain laws where they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And they don't care, because all they care about is real estate and getting more property or whatever the fuck they're trying to do.
Florida's a hot spot for invasive species, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's due to poor people.
And a lot of reptiles and fish can survive there because it's ideal.
It's tropical, yeah.
Super ideal.
Yeah.
So they have countless fish that are not indigenous. And the problem with it is when you introduce something to a fauna, it could literally devastate it if it doesn't have natural predators. So I guess at times I understand. But for Nova Scotia, Canada, nothing can survive our winters.
Yeah.
But we have so much blocked and banned.
That's crazy. Yeah. Do you think that would ever change?
Funny enough, the CFIA at one point, when the gallery was beginning, used to consult me and ask questions and thoughts and that sort of thing. But because I was not saying what they wanted to hear, they no longer consulted with me. I think that they have other interests, or I think that sometimes politicians have to look active to justify their situation and position. And there was big things on axolotls, turtles, certain sizes of lizards. Like in Nova Scotia, they can't be over 6 feet long without a permit, but you can only have the permit if you're an educational facility. Because what if they get out? I was like, let them. They can't survive our winters, period. How is a Asian water monitor going to survive 6 feet of snow?
Yeah.
Everything's frozen. But I guess it is what it is.
So, but if the laws were different, do you feel like you'd be keeping reptiles right now?
No, I can mostly keep anything I want, to the point where when the gallery first started and I had a 3-stage exit point, which there were 3 doorways for any reptile to get out. I could have kept a Bengal tiger in here. I had the permits, but I let it expire after a year. Because for the last 16 years, I've proven that I'm an educational facility. I don't feed live animals. I don't do anything too crazy. And I focus on the welfare of the animal as opposed to hope you watch it. So that's something that is a relatively universal law in the United States, is that if you are some sort of zoo or educational facility, research facility, that you could get darn near anything you want.
And that's something you obviously have to prove over years of some time, like you did. Obviously, it's not that easy to do, correct?
Well, I mean, you have to get validated, certified to become a zoo. There's a number of steps to go through, but it's not necessarily, well, at least for me, it wasn't that difficult. I think for me, I simply lost interest because I have to open everything, not to the public, but I had to have hours which people could come. And the gallery's 7 feet from my house. I was like, nah, not going to do that. I had young kids and stuff.
Yeah. So what's new with, with what you have going on in 2024? Like, what's your game plan moving forward here? Is anything new that you're looking to launch or anything like that?
Not for 2024. 2025 is another big idea. 2024 is, I was just looking at the date, August 1st. On August 17th is 16 days. I got a little something going on.
Yeah, we got to talk about that, by the way, for sure.
Yeah, closer it gets, the worse I regret, trying to come up with that idea. But, for me, 2024 was kind of like the big reset. And what I mean by that is, for the first time in 16 years, it's no longer YouTube first. It's family first and then YouTube. So a big focus has been on my children. I got remarried, so my wife, and just getting back to being a father and husband, as opposed to a YouTuber, but I'm also a father and husband.
Right. All right. So you recently got married, right? Not too long ago? Like this, was it earlier this year or last year?
It was this May.
This May. Man, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was been with her for 6 years. I believe it was a year into it, I bought the ring, but then I thought, nah, I'm blowing up on YouTube right now. This is not a good time to get married, because what if she's just around for...
You're like, I'm gonna do it when I tank.
you could say yes when I'm broke. No, but yeah, it was the first time that I was with somebody that truly supported my hobby, that was a fan of me as a human, and as a father, and obviously off camera we're entirely different people, but I still decided I'll wait 5 years. And then I asked her a year later, we got married.
So where you're at now with everything, with your past experience to this point, like what's a day-to-day for you now? Like how many days a week are you like making content? Like what's a typical day for Joey now?
Used to be on the grind. I used to do like daily videos, 3 times a week. I'm all over the place. There's a massive timeline of examples we could pull from, but recently, over I would say the last year, is working on the promotion most of the time, going to the gym and focusing on my son's fitness. He's got 1 year left of high school, so getting him his license, getting him a job. My daughter went to university. You guys call it college. It's just back to family for me. And if I have time, and I wouldn't say if I have time, I don't let YouTube pressure me anymore. Because the pressure is real.
It is. Yeah.
Do you know what's worse? They came out with, because YouTube's highly intelligent, that YouTube creator app, it happened a few years ago, where it starts ranking your videos.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, number 1. This is number 2. But what it wants is, like, when you get a number 10, they want you to push and push and push and push.
Right.
And I did that for many years, and it controlled me. It became an obsession, and I just didn't want to play the game anymore. I could probably, I have a tremendous amount of viral videos left in me, and great content, because even after 16 years, I feel like I haven't even scraped the surface of what I want to talk about. You can only talk about so much. There's no such thing as an expert in any animal keeping. You could be an expert in something very small, but you can't be an expert. Like, there's no such thing as a reptile expert. Oh, so you know everything about every reptile on the planet.
That was almost. I mean, Barczyk was pretty close to one of those guys. I don't think he would call himself an expert on every reptile species, because that's damn near impossible. Like you said, I feel like to really be an expert on every species. But fuck, that guy could go off about a lot of different reptile species.
He was just so abundantly passionate. And I'll give you a quick story.
Sure.
The first collab we ever did was back when YouTube had a messaging system. And you like inbox, you could DM people.
Okay.
And one morning I woke up having my coffee, about ready to go to work. And it said Snake Bites TV. I was like, oh, it's probably like spam. Please subscribe to us. I was like, joke's on you. I already am. And he wanted to make a video with me. If I didn't stand up from the table. And I was like, babe, do you know who just talked to me? Do you know who just messaged me? Brian Barczyk. I was like, yeah, that sounds good. Maybe, maybe I can make something work.
I'll get back to you.
Yeah. I didn't have money to book a ticket or anything. So we had to use money we didn't have, paycheck to paycheck. Wow. And I went down there anyways. And I had to pretend like I didn't know how to pronounce his last name when I first met him. So I didn't come off as a fangirl. I didn't want him to know how much I watched him and looked up to him and how much he meant to me. And I don't know why I did it. It sounds stupid now. I ended up telling him the story many years later. But I couldn't afford a hotel, even though I was like, he's like, no, you'll stay at my house. So this is before the Reptarium. We do a tour. The videos are on YouTube. It's years ago, but we do the tours, and you know what Brian's like on camera. And I don't know, 12 hours go by, and we're back at his house, and we're just sitting on Noah's playing video games. Brian and his wife are in the living room with me, and I'm just sitting there wiped, exhausted. And Brian won't stop.
He does.
I'm like, are we still making a video? Like, he started talking about his Africa trip. And then he started talking about how deeply the haters were affecting him. And he was crying. And I was like, sometimes when you get really big, you have a big target on your back. He's like, yeah, but I don't understand it. I love these animals, but this is how he's like snakes like smaller and he's trying to explain. I was like, you're speaking to the choir right now, dude. I don't even have snakes and I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But that was like one of my first experiences with him. And I think that was like 11 at 12 o'clock at night. And he's like, and now I'm doing this new Africa trip. I hope it does really well. But between me and you, Joey, I'm putting in, and he was talking tens and tens of thousands of dollars. I bought this and that. And he's like, I just want to do it because our industry and our hobby needs this. Somebody has to do it. And I was like, cool, but where am I sleeping? Like, when can we stop the whole Brian Barczyk? Just overwhelmed me. He made me feel this small in terms of like my passion.
Yeah. Damn.
So I think I went to bed at 1 or 2 in the morning in their upstairs bedroom, 6 a.m. knocking on my door. He's like, you ready to go? I was like, yeah, I used to smoke at the time. I was like, can I grab a coffee? Maybe have a couple cigarettes. He's like, there's not going to be a lot of time for that. We got to go. He was hitting the ground running from like 6 o'clock in the morning till midnight every single day. And it was the exact person that you saw in the videos. And that was the first time I was like, oh, sometimes YouTubers aren't fake. Like, this was the real deal.
Yep.
We did a tremendous amount of things since then. One of the relative controversies is like, I've never been to Animal Con, and it was for a simple reason. And I'll clear it here for the first time. Brian knew he wanted me to come.
Right.
But I was going through a separation. And one of the things that was being used against me was that I was not consistently at home. I'm always traveling. I'm always going here. I'm always going there. So I had to publicly announce I'm no longer doing talks. And because of that, I couldn't go to the Animal Con, and then I couldn't go the next year. It was just like bad timing for me. I had to prove that I was a stay at home, very consistent. I have full custody of my children now. They both live here full time.
Awesome.
But behind the scenes, I was doing my own fights and my own battles. But Brian was literally the real deal.
Yeah.
And he always cared. So one of the best things that I liked about him, only one other person did this. There's a company in the United States that goes by the name Bulk Resupply, and Ryan was at the time the owner. Any time that I had any sort of milestone, it didn't matter if it was like 2, 3 in the morning, my email go ding, ding. It was these guys congratulating me and telling me how proud they were. But it was always Brian. He's like, "Can we talk tomorrow?" And he called me, and it wasn't like a 10-minute talk. It's like 2 hours all the time. Brian was always there for me. And then he saw, and he knew what I was going through with my separation. My divorce lasted 3 years, and Brian was like always coaching me. He's like always telling, and he was seeing me self-destruct. And he's like, "I'm not here to say you're better than this." He's just, I just want you to let you know that I know you and you're better than this. He's like, "I know you don't have any father figures and or people in your life, and I'm not trying to be that guy, but smarten the fuck up." He would curse every once in a while. Not often, but he would.
Yeah. He had quite the personality. He was a jokester, man. That's the thing. If you really knew Brian, he was fucking funny, man.
The second time I met him, we went and visited Bashy Aquatics. Steve Bashy, which is his childhood best friend. Yeah. And when Steve knew that Brian's trying to be professional, because this is only the second time I was ever there, and Steve doesn't care about the internet, but he's doing a lot of aquariums and filters for his new location, the Legacy.
Right.
And that was the first time I ever seen Brian turn red, because Steve Bashy is like a guy's guy, like cracking jokes, making fun of each other. And Brian turned beet red because Steve wouldn't stop like making fun of him. And then finally Brian broke down and he's like, "Joey, shut the camera off." He's like, and they just went back. It was great. It was a good time. It was a number of occurrences like that. If he ever needed me, if I was at a show, he'd need to get in, I'd make a call. If I ever needed something, we had some really good times. And then when he started his vlog up, what you guys know him for now, where he's making daily videos, I was against it. He called me with the idea. He's like, "Yeah, man, you're blowing up. You're doing videos every day, every other day. I got this idea. I'm going to do daily videos." And I said, "Don't." I was like, horrible idea, because his numbers were so low. And every video at the time I was uploading was doing like 250,000 views.
Yeah.
I was like, "I'm in the algorithm. You're going to put in." He's like, "Yeah, I'll just stay consistent. I can do this." I was like, "No, you can't." He's like, "Yes, I can." We got in an argument. I don't know if we hung up on each other or not, but he did it. Dude, it was a very interesting thing. But he was on his own podcast at one point, and he had talked about it, and he said, I just joined in the chat, and he's like, "At one time everything was dying out, and then Joey came through and kind of rejuvenated everything and brought us a bunch of new viewers." And he said, "If it wasn't for that, I don't know if we would even still be on the internet." Brian was all about still giving flowers. You could fact check me on that too. That was one of my moments that it's almost like Brian bit his tongue and he didn't say, even though Joey's going through all this, or he was always about just showing love. And I believe, as cliche as it is, like, I think he was just a better person than most people are.
I agree. It's funny you say how you felt this small, and I felt like, man, I felt the same way, but like in a way where I felt like how much I want to do better in life. Like that's all it was. Like, the way he showed empathy and the way he showed love towards certain things, where in my eyes, if you were to ask me, I would have a whole nother outlook, but he just made me realize like how much deeper of a thinker he was and how much he kind of really fucked with and cared about things,
Can I tell you the time I was going to punch Brian out?
Oh, please tell me. Please tell me.
This is before he was sick.
Yeah, I would hope.
I did a scape off in the United Kingdom, in the UK, in London. It was never Scape Off was never a thing, but basically I came up with this idea that we were going to do this YouTuber meetup, but let's make it more exciting. Let's set some tanks up and do a competition. But the guy I was going against, he goes by the name of George Farmer. His nickname is the Aquascaper. So in the aquarium hobby, it's kind of like setting up a beautiful natural reptile enclosure. And he was at the time, in my opinion, one of the best in the world. And I'm like, dude, I for the most part, I'm happy with bare tanks. Like I was the guy keeping ball pythons in the drawers. And he's creating these massive enclosures. So I was like, I don't stand a chance. Let's make this interesting. Let's levy the fans against each other and kind of do a competition, but we'll do a face-off, kind of make it look like a boxing match. We'll call it the Scape Off. And when I went to the UK, around 1,000 people showed up and they lost their minds over this.
Wow.
But the inspiration was do it as a boxing match. I think I was like 34, 35 at the time. This is when YouTube boxing was like kind of popping off, and I was trying to capitalize on that idea. And for the last 6 years, I've been trying to put that together. But when I saw Brian was trying to raise money for the Legacy Aquarium, and you could sponsor each enclosure, and the GoFundMes were really not producing much for him, I called him a few years ago and I was like, hey, what if we do this? Charity boxing match, fish keepers versus reptile keepers, you versus me as the main event, and all proceeds go to the Legacy Aquarium. He's like, the wife's not going to let this happen. Noah certainly is not. He's like, but let me think about it. The next day, maybe hours later, he wanted to do it. I slept on it, and I was like, I'm not punching Brian Barczyk. A few months later, the diagnosis came out, and he was sick. And, we had conversations, and I was like, hey, I'm still gonna do my best to put the event on. I'm going to make it happen. And I got desperate. Like, who wants it? Who wants to smoke? I was challenging everybody, trying to start problems. And then one day I was watching Predatory Fins. Rodrigo Rojas was there sitting in a boxing ring of all places, wrapping his hands with championship fighters. I was like, oh, so you box? Want to do a charity event? That was a bad idea. Desperation. Buddy weighs 230. I'm a natural, probably 150, 170. Yeah. But I didn't care. I was like, Brian, I'm going to make this happen no matter what. And he's like, I'm going to be there if I can. And by the time things came to fruition, Brian had passed. And I didn't know how to deal with that. And I know that I probably should have made a video. I did. I just couldn't keep it together. And but Brian knew how I felt. And to me, that was more important than making a video. So anyways, so then we start putting on this event, and me and Buddy are starting to go crazy at each other. And I was like, dude, this is a charity event. Chill out. And I was like, if Brian was still around, he wouldn't want his name attached to this. So like, we're pulling that. You and me, we can go to war. And then it was just a fight. We submitted it to, because this is a sanctioned fight. We submitted it to the New York State Athletic Commission, the ISKA. And they're like, wait a minute. Joey's a promoter. Rod's a promoter. You're fighting each other, and you picked all the fights? We're not sanctioning this. In fact, this can't happen. And I was like, what's the problem? A few weeks prior, we had a gambling company that wanted to sponsor the event, give us $75,000 if they could be the exclusive sponsor, and we'll put bets on everybody. We'll give them odds until I sent them the contracts. And they're like, well, at this time, we're not comfortable moving forward with this. So a lot of this was building up, and I thought, what's going on? And then I thought, oh, fight fixing. I picked Rod. Me and Rod picked all the fights. We got betting companies. Fight fixings and in sanctioned events, everything has to be absolutely fair and perfect.
Right.
So in order to save the event, Bobby Campbell from Jackhammer Promotions, he's like, I never liked any of these fights anyways. They were all mismatched and predictable. Rod, you're going to fight this guy. Joey, you're fighting this guy. And then he created a card of like 18 or 20 fights, 7 title fights. And then Rod's opponent got horribly injured twice. So then now Rod has a new opponent. Anyways, the event's still happening. And people are like, why would you want to do this? Because it's entertaining. It's fun. We're all getting into shape. It's inspiring. But like at some times, like even I was watching some like drama trap talk in the past. I was like, y'all should just fight.
Down. Yeah.
Y'all should just figure it out. Oh, you're tough with your keyboard.
Oh man. And you know what's crazy is because there's been so many. I mean, I've had so many people tell me things that they want to do to me, and it's a small world, this reptile world. And I travel, I go to all these shows.
Yeah, me too.
And that energy never matches in person.
That's right.
It's never there. And you got some people that say it's there, but like, I agree, man. Why not settle this shit? Because at the end of the day, more likely you're gonna hug it out. I would say if it's a good fight, you're gonna respect each other. I think that's all it comes down to.
I think that one of the things that we came to the conclusion on is not every fighter has to donate because we're paying them. Right. They have to pay for their training. They have to sacrifice for months. They've got to do a lot. So let them have a few bucks. But the event as a whole, right. We will be selecting, and other fighters have already announced like who they will be donating to. But because it is sanctioned, they've got to be non-profits, and they have to be. That's the pay-per-view link. And they have to be.
It's this official. Like you can legit watch this shit pay-per-view and pay. You can pay to watch this.
Or you can come in person. The weigh-ins and the press conferences the day before.
Animal Creator Boxing. Like so, this is like this. You're trying to bring in all industries.
I tried to get reptile people involved, but Brian was going to lead that and start approaching people. But then once he had his diagnosis and I realized it was serious, I was like, don't worry about it, bro. Because it's a lot of people talk until I send them a contract. And I was like, if you sign here, you're going to fight. Yeah. And if you sign it and you don't show up, there's consequences and repercussions.
Right.
To being bitch made. But most people are.
I mean, it takes a certain being to get in that ring, man. I'm telling you, it's, but it's also fucking really neat and cool. I mean, it's different for sure.
It'll be fun. And one of the things that I was thinking about before this, especially since you clicked on the pay-per-view link, is that if you want to, you've got 2 weeks to do it. But if you want to help promote Fins and Fury, which is the event name, because I'm a genius, we'll pay you based on what you sell, and we'll give you 25% of all pay-per-views you sell.
Cool. Just by helping promoting and whatnot.
Talking about what everybody's going to talk about anyway.
Wow.
So if you sell let's say 1,000 pay-per-views, we'll give you $9,000. Contract, everything. Don't worry about it. You're good to go.
Wow.
And all they got to do is click the link. Click your link, and if they buy it, then you get the money.
Now, is this trying to be a yearly event that you want to do this? Like, what's the whole game plan if this all gets, good feedback?
Me and Rod got unfinished business. He's a natural power lifter. He's a big dude. I think he's about 210 right now, and I'm standing at around 180. I think that I'd have to come up to 200, and or 190, and he'll have to drop down. But we could figure it out. If not, I want his former opponent, Bearsky, which is he weighs 210. That's the thing about me. I got physically measured at the doctor the other day. I'm 5'8" and 3/4. I thought I was 5'9". No, I'm 5'9" with the Air Forces, but technically I'm 5'8" and 3/4.
With the Air Forces.
Yeah. I'm a little dude.
That was epic. That was so epic.
Because it's true. It gives you a little bit. They're like men's high heels.
So what's the okay? I know you said there was quite the weight difference in the original fight that you had, but now what's the weight difference between the guy you're fighting on the 17th?
We're gonna meet at 180 pounds,
and you're naturally at 150, is what you're saying. If you're not,
I would say your natural weight is probably what you weighed between 21 to 25. If you were in shape and you didn't weigh too heavy, etc., I would say. Because once you get into boxing training, the fat just melts.
Right.
And there's nothing you could do about it.
Right. So a lot of cardio.
Oh, it's 90% cardio.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's ways to put on weight, but there's not enough time for me to put on healthy weight. I'd have to come in really chunky to weigh 200 plus.
Right.
Now, when I challenged Rod, I was 193 pounds coming out of the pandemic. No diet, no working out, no nothing. And Rod was 234 pounds at the time. But we didn't care. And even in conversations, he's like, well, I'll probably be like 225, 230. And I was like, I'll probably be 170. But we didn't know. It's just like YouTuber boxing. We didn't plan on it being sanctioned by the New York State Athletic Commission, the ISK. We didn't realize what boxing training was going to do to our bodies. And even if him and I could have continued on, I at best could show up at like 185 and he'd be 200, but we're still 15 pounds is just too much of a difference. It wouldn't have got sanctioned. Even if you cut water weight, like Rod's a big dude.
Yeah. And you know, what's your training regimen right now? Like, what are you doing to get ready for this fight?
So, for the most part, I run 5 kilometers a day, which is maybe 3.5 miles.
Okay.
And then I'll either do calisthenics, body weight training, and or actual weight training, but I don't go to the gym to build muscle anymore. I look like I'm getting skinnier and skinnier because I'm not really putting on muscle because muscle don't win fights. So today, for example, I did my run of the 5K, and then I went to the gym to do weight training and just strength training for about an hour. I worked a little bit of chest, a little bit of legs, and a little bit of shoulders. I'm just mixing it up. Staying away from injuries, and then boxing for 2 hours. So around upwards of like averaging 3 to 5 hours of training a day.
Wow. And do you do a lot of the training as far as like inside the boxing gym, like at night? Or
2 hours of boxing is at the gym. Yeah. And that's another thing that I like about this event is that I'm training at a local nonprofit gym that needs this type of attention, and they're doing a tremendous amount for the local youth. Troubled youth come in there all the time with chips on their shoulder. Within 2 weeks, it's night and day, man. They look at you different. They talk to you different. But to have the YouTuber guy there is drawing in some new people.
That's awesome to see, man. I mean, I gotta say, bro. I mean, I've respected you coming into this podcast, but after hearing a lot of the things that inspire you when it comes to, like, you know, youth that needs help and what like that really always matters to me, you know. And if I feel like if I ever could go somewhere with this, like I would like to help, you know, troubled youth in my area or wherever.
Because you are one. And in my opinion, do you got a dad? You probably don't got a dad, do you?
I do got wow. I do got a dad. Yeah, no, I for sure got a dad.
Most guys that are come from troubled past do not have much of a.
My dad's. That's one thing I can't say. I've had great parents. You know what I mean? But obviously they split up when I was 14, and that's kind of when things went south, and they both had their issues then. But me and my dad have always been tight. We've always, you know, me and my mom have our issues, but me and my dad are like we see eye to eye, you know, most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I find that, you know, at least for me, I always felt like in order to reach these troubled youth, they don't want to listen to guys that never walked their path of life or never been in their situation. They don't.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't want to talk to somebody about some things that I can understand why they're acting out or why they act in a certain way. And it just takes me like not even 30 seconds just looking at them. I can just see the way they're dressed, or I can see maybe their shoes aren't that nice, or they're just, and they overcompensate. So what I did during the pandemic was I was going to go get educated so I could actually work with troubled youth. So I went back to university, paid the entire tuition for a year. And within 2 weeks, maybe 4 weeks of dealing with the professors and how they would talk about people that come from a life of lesser means and how they look down on them, I was like, you're not my people. You're not here for the reason I'm here.
Yeah.
I want to actually help people, and you want to keep them down so you keep this rotation going. I can reach them in different ways. Sometimes I do it with fish keeping, and now I'm going to try it in boxing. I'm not the best boxer. I don't have to be the best boxer. I just got to beat one dude one night, so I just got to be better than him. And if I can inspire people to train themselves into a discipline, because once there's no such thing as a bully in boxing.
Yeah.
Come be a bully at the boxing club. You're going to get hurt.
Yep.
You get lit up real quick. And I've watched it. I've seen it. I was like, oh, he's going to get hurt. Running his mouth like that. I just want to spar. I just want to do this. And cool, dude. Get your medical clearance and toss on some headgear and pick somebody.
Yeah.
I've watched girls beat up these bully boys.
Oh man, well check it out. I got a wrap up topic for you here, Joey. Obviously you've come a long ways. I mean, over a decade in this, but what's the next 5 years hold? Like, where if everything goes your way, whatever you have in store for the next few years in your head, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh, geez. I do have plans to step away at some point. I don't have a timeline on it. I just have more goals that I want to accomplish. And once I do, I'll be out. And I say that with a very heavy heart, knowing that I'll probably never go anywhere. I'll always make videos. I believe in full circles, whereas nobody watched me when I began making videos. And when I end making videos, there'd probably be nobody watching it. But I would like to open a store, a mini store, basically a gallery at the beginning. The middle would potentially be dry goods and fish, and the back would be quarantine. I still have goals, and I will accomplish them as I always do. As for the boxing thing, we'll see how it goes. But what I can say is all those call out videos and those hype videos that I'm making are not going to age well if I lose. So after this, MJ, I can send you an affiliate link where we can start tracking your clicks and any buys or whatever. If you want to bring it up, go ahead.
Yeah, for sure.
The last question that I have for you is, my initials are MJ as well.
Really?
My initials are MJM. Joey is not my real name.
Okay.
Joe is. What does the MJ in yours stand for?
Michael, my first name.
That's my first name.
And then Juarez, which is my last name.
My real name is Michael Joe Mullen.
Oh, nice.
My father's first name is Michael. And when he left when I was a young boy, I didn't want to be called Michael anymore. And I wanted to be called Joe. And then Joe transitioned to Joey. That's how that happened. But my real name is Michael Joe.
Where are your parents from? Like, what's your background?
I did out of boredom the thing where you spit in the tube and you send it off to your ancestry.
Yeah.
Scottish Irish.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
White as I can get. Oh, and 1% Native American.
Damn, but always
my wife's heritage is incredibly interesting. She's like 20% or 10, 20% of a bunch of like really interesting stuff. What are you? Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I know. Obviously, my dad's full blown Mexican. Like my grandma and grandpa sent from parts of Mexico, and then my mom's sides, I know her dad is full blown Italian, and then the mom my grandma was part Italian, part German. So I haven't done the ancestrals. My mom has, and she's told me
Oh,
stuff.
do it, man.
Yeah,
Request it for your next birthday present or something. It's like $70, $80, and it's incredibly fascinating.
Okay.
Because
Check it out.
because what would Mexican come up as? Central American?
Yeah, or like some sort of indigenous or like Indian or some sort.
Yeah, you should do it, and then it's gonna like connect you. And I don't connect with them.
Yeah,
but like with 100, 200 relatives that also did it.
Yeah, I for sure know my grandpa has some sort of Indian blood deep down. Like I think from last time I checked, but now I'm curious. I guess I will ask for that for a Christmas for a birthday.
Do it for like
My birthday's in like less than 2 weeks, so yeah.
I'll do that because they ship it to you. They ship you all the instructions. The worst part is like you gotta. It's a tube, almost like a blood tube when they take your blood, but it's longer, and you got to fill it up with like just spit.
Oh yeah,
and you only got so much spit. Trust me.
Yeah,
maybe you can sink your fangs into it.
Dude, great episode. I have hot seat questions before I let you go. Okay, Joey, you cool with that?
Yeah, go.
All right, guys, get the likes up. Shout out to everyone who's in the building, but please get the likes up for Joey. It is hot seat questions. And Joey, the way this works, the quicker the better. All right, you've done a great job all night, but please end this right and nail these questions as quick as you can. You ready?
Yeah, go.
All right, hot seat questions coming hot. One thing not to do in the fish game.
What not to do in fish keeping?
Yes.
Oh shoot.
What's the biggest thing that stands out in your head?
The number one killer of fish is not understanding the nitrogen cycle. So the first thing you should do is have a full comprehension of the nitrogen cycle, which is how beneficial bacteria processes ammonia and nitrite.
Okay, great beginner freshwater fish.
Anything labyrinth. So the labyrinth, anything labyrinth would be like guppies. No, not guppies. Sorry. Some people weren't going to like it, like betas, the paradise fish. So the labyrinth fish or the labyrinth organ, I should say, is a fish that not only has gills, but it also has an organ behind their brain that allows them to gulp oxygen and process that within their bodies and still stay alive. And the reason I say that is because regardless of how bad your water quality is, because when you first get into the fish keeping hobby, you're not a fish keeper, you're probably a fish killer. Get a fish that can withstand your water quality.
Okay, here we go. Ideal tank size for a stingray, freshwater stingray.
8 by 4 by 2. So 8 feet long, 4 feet wide, 2 feet tall. You'll be able to keep a pair of darn near any freshwater stingray.
One thing to know when keeping stingrays.
They are, due to their osmogulatory system, they create more ammonia than absolutely any freshwater fish on the planet. You could have big fish, but these guys produce 5 to 10 times more waste and ammonia and urea than anything else. So your biggest focus is obviously on water changes, filtration, and of course aeration within the aquarium.
Yay importation or boo importation?
I believe that. Are you talking wild caught?
Any kind of wild caught fish, whatever, like any kind of importation between countries and all that. Yeah.
I believe that importation is incredibly important to sustaining a tremendous amount of animals, simply because a lot of the times deforestation, constructions of dams can completely wipe out and put animals to extinction, whereas the hobby rarely, if ever, has done it. And in keeping these fish, we offer them a new opportunity. For example, the white cloud minnow was at one point extinct in the wild, but we brought it back to being like a 50-cent fish. Like, it's not rare at all.
Is that your answer?
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, and obviously the economics behind it. Like, some people are supporting their families, they're responsibly collecting, and there are a lot of regulations as to how many of these specific fish can be exported every year.
So I'm sorry. Is that a yes or no? Like, is that a boo or is that? Are we saying yes or no though?
If you're answering me fish questions, I'll give you like specific answers. Yes, I'm
Okay,
cool with it, depending.
Yay sports or boo sports?
Ah, geez. I'm the only Canadian that doesn't watch hockey, but I believe sports can teach you a tremendous amount of things, including discipline and self-respect. I'm yay sports.
Favorite sport?
Oh, shoot. I'll go with basketball.
Favorite basketball team?
90s Bulls.
Nice, dude. What an era. God, that was a good time. All right, steak or fish?
My wife's not going to like this, but I don't eat a lot of seafood. I do eat fish, but it's got to be tilapia, haddock, white flesh, not oily, got to be battered. I'm not I don't eat lobster as abundant as it is in Nova Scotia, Canada. On the East Coast, we're surrounded by the ocean. I do eat a lot of clam, but not in the way you think. I'll go with steak.
Favorite cut of steak?
Anything with a bone in it.
Oh, okay. Respect. Yay alcohol or boo alcohol?
Shit. I'm Canadian. Yay.
What's your favorite alcohol beverage? Like the can't go wrong. And what's your go-to?
I used to drink hard alcohol like vodka and stuff, but well, you said we cursed. All it did was make me want to fight or fuck, so I don't do it anymore. Beer I can control.
Awesome. Favorite genre of music?
Rap.
All right. West Coast rap or East Coast rap?
Shit. I could never sell it on Tupac, so West Coast.
All right. So
even though he's from the East.
So then favorite West Coast rapper would be Tupac?
Yeah, I suppose like tactically he's not West Coast. But yeah, Tupac. Yeah. Tupac raised
he died repping West Coast for sure.
Yeah.
All right, little word association. Just say the first thing that come to mind. Milk.
Titties.
Let's keep it real. First time saltwater fish keeper.
Do you want like give you a word or what they should keep?
What do you think of? Like, what do you think of when you think of a first time saltwater fish keeper? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Brave.
Respect. Instagram trolls or YouTube trolls. Trolls in general. Trolls.
Cucks.
Least favorite fish to keep.
Oh shit. This is asking me like what I'm voting for. Least favorite fish to keep. Oh, alligator gar, hands down.
Okay. What alligator gar? Is gar?
Gar. So
gar.
This is a fish that gets up to 8 feet long. It's got the mouth of an alligator. It's got teeth, but these guys are nasty. I had a bad experience. Never again.
Oh my gosh. Okay. What do you think the most popular fish in the fish game is?
It would have to be goldfish, betas, or guppies.
Okay, last but not least, first thing to come to mind, coolest reptile network in the world.
Trap Talk.
There it is. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, bro. That was a fucking long, fucking hot seat. But you know what? You gave us
Fuck
good
you, will never come back.
No, we got that was great. I'm telling you, we got the answers we needed, and I gotta say, you had a lot of love and support in the chats. What do you have to say to all the support you have out there? Anyone who listened, who's been following you for a long time? Like I said, I got flooded with messages earlier today. So what do you have to say to all the love and support you have out there, Joey?
Without you, there is no me. I know that I've inspired you at times, and at other times I've disappointed you. What I can say moving forward, and for the remainder of however long you allow me to grace me with your presence, I can assure you I ain't going nowhere.
Epic. And I can't wait to bring you back, man. I don't think we definitely did enough on tonight's show, even though we're just under 2 hours. But it was a great fucking time and honor to have you. I appreciate you so much. Guys, please give him a follow. If you're not already, go subscribe to his YouTube channel. All right, the king of DIY, and also on Instagram. You can find the links in the description below. But give it up. It's a wrap for episode 523. Joey, king of DIY. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up. Thanks, man. Appreciate you so much. Have a good night, Joey.
XOXO.
Peace out, man. What a great guy. That was great. Great episode. Appreciate everyone out there. If you are new to tonight's channel, please get that subscribe button before you leave. If you really appreciate everything that was laid out on tonight, man, it was a great episode. Great to know Joey better, and also to hear these stories and just kind of tap into the aquatic world, you know. Really, really cool stuff. So thank you to everyone out there. I appreciate you so much. Don't forget, tomorrow is an awesome episode going down. Dave Levison podcast, bringing some heat. Okay. Matt Minatoa and Elijah Armis, Philly Herps and Juggernaut Reptiles, happening tomorrow, 9:15 a.m. right here out of the Trap Talk Reptile Network. Thank you so much. Again, everyone out there tapping in. It's a wrap for episode 523. King of DIY in the books. Have a good night, and I'm out.